All right, y'all. After the punch heard round the world last night, it's time to ask the questions. Why is black hair such a big deal? And how do we as a people work through the often traumatic and painful experiences we've had regarding our hair? And also, is it really that big of a deal? Is it really racist? Is it really discriminatory for white people to have an opinion or make judgments on us about our hair? Erika's foreshadowing the answer, but we're going to talk about it after the break.
Brokers, welcome to another episode of Brokers, where we talk about the unbelievable ish this country has done to keep us broke. Now here are your hosts, Amber and Erika.
Hey, brokers, I'm Amber.
And I'm Erika.
And this payday, y'all, we are talking about it. I can't believe it's taking us this long. We are talking about black hair. And how ironic, y'all. I'm telling y'all, when Jesus said he works together, everything for your good, the Bible is not capping, okay? Because we are recording this the day after the Oscars aired. And who would have known? How ironic is it that we are recording an episode talking about black hair, the pathologies behind it, our trauma, our pain, our economic disadvantages because of it, the day after Will Smith showed everybody that he was West Philadelphia born and raised, okay?
We just knew in our spirits, we knew what was coming, Amber. That's why this show has the timing that it does. Because I know a lot of people might be like, well, y'all just jump on the bandwagon, whatever. We're not jumping on the bandwagon. We was talking about hair anyway. They just helped us.
And that's on the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Like, we really did plan this episode before. Because y'all know, I have to tell y'all, after I seen Beyonce perform in Compton, I had turned it back on Snap. I was done with the Oscars because that was all I came for. I had seen Venus, Serena, and Beyonce. I was done.
The Father, the Son.
Yes. Yes. You know, the Mother, the Daughter, and the Holy Spirit test. I was done. Okay. And it wasn't until like I started getting the text from Erika and Delina that I was like, what happened? So let me pause my Snapped. And then I saw it and I could not believe it. I was like, that's fake. That's fake. Mm-hmm.
But Amber, before we talk about what happened at the Oscars, child, what have you been up to?
Well, guys, I think I told y'all, my husband and I, we're building a house. But you know, that ain't gonna be ready.
Yes, Amber, you told us how you're building your dream home.
That ain't gonna be ready to the rapture, 10 minutes before the rapture come. But, you know, this market is, you know, a little hot right now. So we didn't decide to sell our house. And y'all, I'm trying to find a rent house. And ain't nobody got time for that. You know, I got 220 kids, a dog. It's just too much. So I've been purging, packing, and looking for a rent house. That's what I've been doing. Shut up.
Okay. I got my baby violin for you, Amber. The brokers are.
That's why her sound effects is bootleg. You see, no weapon formed against you will prosper. Come on, somebody. Come on. It's bootleg.
Mm-hmm. No, but for real, I know this market is really not awesome. So I can imagine that trying to find a house for you and your 387 children is a big deal.
So. Thank you. Well, what have you been up to, Lady of Leisure?
Well, first of all, everyone, I'm so glad that I have rich friends because y'all, Brokish was at the New Edition concert. Compliments of Amber and her husband. So thank you, Amber, for inviting me to be in the suite. I was living the sweet life.
She's so messy.
With my rich friends, and I had a great time, and it was just good to be out and about. Even though, Amber, I had just been out and about because we went to New York for spring break, and we went to the Apollo. Girl, can y'all see my Apollo?
Yes.
We got to go to Showtime at the Apollo Amateur Night with the kids. It was so fun, and we got to boo people off the stage. And,
Erika, you was booing people.
Yes. Some of those people needed to be booed. Boo!
Oh, Erika.
So, yes, it was so fun, and we had a great time in New York. So that's what we've been up to. I have been having a lot of leisure lately. I've been feeling really good.
Yes, live your
Oh,
best life,
mhm.
sis. That's what God came for, that we would have abundant life. So hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So back to the Oscars, Amber. You know what? I didn't even actually, I never saw any of it. I was
Yeah.
not watching the Oscars because, for y'all who don't know, on Sunday nights, Erica watches 90 Day Fiance. So I was caught up in 90 Day Fiance as I am on every Sunday night. So I'm just watching it on Twitter, right? So I'm not really watching it. And to this day, to this day, it just happened yesterday, but to this point, I still haven't actually. Maybe I saw a video of the actual slap, but I don't even know if I've seen that much. But for the people who don't know, and I don't know what rocks they've been living under,
Right.
Amber, just tell us what happened and get us all caught up.
Okay. So what had happened was, y'all know, before the Oscars, I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, Jada Pinkett Smith came out, both on Red Table Talk and also in an article in People magazine, uh, revealing that she has alopecia areata, which is one of the 7 types of alopecia. That one specifically is an autoimmune disorder that predominantly affects Black women. And
Really?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And so she revealed, and at the Red Table, she released a little clip showing herself having got out of the shower one day where large clumps of her hair has started to come out. And so, anyway, she made a decision to shave her head. Fast forward, we are at the Oscars. Will's night is this night because he's nominated for playing Richard Williams in King Richard, front runner, expected to win. And Chris Rock is on the stage presenting and makes a
Being
joke.
Chris Rock.
The Chris Rock, the same Chris Rock who produced Good Hair, okay, about the nuanced, complicated, and often traumatic relationship that Black women have with their hair. But anyway, that same Chris Rock decided
Mm-hmm.
to open the mouth that Jesus Christ gave to him and make a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, asking if she was going to star in G.I. Jane 2, which we all know that Demi Moore was the original G.I. Jane, and she played that role with a shaved head. Okay. And so at that point, the audience starts to laugh. Will appears to start to laugh, and then the camera pans to Jada, and you can see a slight bit of discomfort on her face. I
Right.
don't know what happened between that pan and panning back to Chris Rock, but Will Smith walks up to the stage and opens the hand God gave him and slaps Chris Rock smooth across the face. But anyway, so Will walked up to the stage and slapped this man for cracking the G.I. Jane joke on his wife. Okay. And then he got back to his seat and told that man to keep his effing wife's name out his mouth. Then he repeated it again to make sure there was no misunderstanding. And I think that's when the world, along with Lupita Nyong'o, figured out this was not a joke. And we all was like, what just happened? And then Twitter erupted.
Wow.
Okay, so let me just say this. I have alopecia areata. It's an autoimmune disorder. Now, in 6th grade, I was diagnosed with a hypothyroid because between 5th and 6th grade, I gained like 50 pounds. So they put me on thyroid medicine. They told me that the thyroid being regulated would help with the fact that because my hair was coming out even in elementary school. And they told me that the thyroid was the problem, that my nails were brittle because of the thyroid, that my hair was coming out because of the thyroid. I was gaining weight because of the thyroid. All I needed was a thyroid regulation. Except I kept gaining weight. My hair had kept coming out. Fast forward, I told you I had a stroke in 2018. That was the first time I heard the word autoimmune as it related to me. But by the time my alopecia areata had got diagnosed, by the time they realized I had autoimmune issues, my hair follicles were dead. And I had no options of what I could do personally to get my hair back. Like they have options to do like surgeries where they take some of the hair from the back of your head and put it in the front. I couldn't do that. I took Rogaine for a while, but I had to stop once I got pregnant with my son, and all the hair comes out. And it also
Mm,
causes very like unsightly, like
right.
forehead hair. It's like your hair grow everywhere but on your head. I didn't have no, I had hair everywhere but on my actual head. So I have a very small patch of hair in the crown of my head that I keep just to sew my wigs down, but I'm bald. So I deeply resonate with that journey of losing your hair, of feeling like there's nothing you can do. And it's a layered trauma for a lot of Black women
Until
because
it's
for a lot
gone.
of us, we don't find out why we're losing our hair until it is too late to do anything about it. Because there's a lot of misdiagnosis, there's a lot of it being casualized or overlooked as you're just treating your hair poorly, you're damaging your hair, you need to stop doing it the way you are, right? I had a lot of that. Oh, it's because you wear braids. You need to stop wearing braids. Your hair's coming out because you're wearing braids. And it took literally from the time I was 12 until the time I was 34 before somebody actually told me what was going on. So I felt all of that in my soul and my spirit when I saw that camera pan to her face. I My heart broke for her because she was humiliated and she was embarrassed. And I hated for that to happen to her on a night that was supposed to be such a high for her. So that part of it I felt, but also, child, two rich Black men fighting at white people shishi event that really just don't really hurt my feelings, quite frankly. So Will defended his wife and acted a fool at the Oscars. I'm not offended by it
Well, let me
personally.
just say,
I'm not.
and this show is about hair, so we're gonna circle back to that part, but specifically about Will, and a lot of people talking about what it means for him to have done this. Will has never been one of my favorites, right? I think he's okay. I've actually thought for a long time he's a cornball. Like, I've often thought, like, Jada, Tupac, Will, and I just have never been able to reconcile that in my own head. But it ain't none of
Facts.
my business, though, right? Because Jada is, talk about a life of leisure and luxury. So I'm not mad at her. But
Okay.
let me tell you, just something changed for me when I saw Will go onto that stage. And I was like, you know what? I want somebody to slap somebody for me too. That's the kind of love that I want to have. And, he started looking a little bit different to me yesterday. Uh,
Them ears they got back.
I mean, and I'm happy where I am. Don't get me wrong, but I just see Will in the a new light on today.
I hear
So
you.
I'm not mad at it. I thought it was fantastic. Bravo and amen.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, let me just say this. I think it's very easy to go back and Monday morning quarterback how you would feel in a
Sure.
moment watching your spouse be humiliated. And one of the things about alopecia is it's something you can't hide. I mean, I was to my ex-husband, we had a child before he saw my bald head. Like that's how embarrassing it was for me. Like,
Really?
yes. And how he saw it is our daughter had a febrile seizure one day while I was getting my hair done, and I just jumped up and ran to the hospital. And I didn't have time. Like she had braided my little
You went to the hospital without your
girl.
wig
Yeah,
in.
she had braided this. That was before I could afford the full lace wigs that I wear now. I was still getting the sew in, and so she had just braided my little piece of hair. And when he called, I ran to the hospital. And that was the first and the only time in my entire first marriage that my ex-husband saw my head, because it was that kind of place of shame and discomfort and insecurity for me. And so I would imagine that when Will saw her face, having known her to the level that he knows her for all the years that he knew her, he probably knew where her head was and how she felt and all of the stuff that came along with what he's witnessed her go through. And he reacted to that. And listen, as a kid who grew up being teased about her weight and being humiliated, I am here for somebody recognizing when people take you to that place and rising to try to do something to rescue you from it. You know, in the words,
Come to my
yeah, in the
rescue.
words of the
Come to my
prophetess Whitney
rescue.
Houston, it's not right, but it's okay. It's okay. It's
Hmm.
okay. So, yeah.
It it's totally okay. And some of the other, you know, there's been a lot of foolishness. Some of the things I've heard things as silly as alopecia isn't a medical issue; it's an aesthetic one, and I'm like, okay, that don't make no sense, but okay. And then people talking about, well, what if Chris Rock didn't know about the alopecia? Will did.
And he know
Will,
now.
Will, Will did, yeah. And how quickly he found out.
Right. Right. But
And
that's one
I
of the
just think
dangers of
that
making black women the butt of your joke, because you don't know. You don't know my story. So don't talk about me. Keep my name out your mouth.
you don't know the story and you don't know how serious hair is for all of us, right? Hair is such a serious thing. So, Amber, I did want to you've already talked about sort of you and your alopecia, but I did want to have just like a moment, if you don't mind, for us before we talk about like the $2 billion industry that hair care is and all of that, just to talk about like our personal stories with hair, because I think everybody has one, or maybe
Yes.
all Black women do.
Oh yeah. Oh
Have,
yeah.
you know, all have a hair story. So you want to talk some more about yours, or you want me to,
No,
what you
I
want to do,
want you
what we
to. I'm
doing?
I'm interested to hear some of yours, and then I'll jump in afterwards.
Okay. So I think I'm probably like a lot of Black women, maybe you too, Amber, that my story starts in the kitchen with the hot comb, right? So I have memories of being in the kitchen with the hot comb and going through all that. But I think I was a little bit different because when I was about 10, I started getting a relaxer. And my mother, so I have a sister, and my mother did not really like to do hair. That was not that's not what she wanted to get into. So every 2 weeks, that lady took us to the hair salon, right? So from the time I was 10 years old until I went to college, every 2 weeks, all three of us in the hair salon getting our hair done, because she was like, I'm not going to do it, but it's going to be done.
Facts.
So because of that, I didn't even know how to wash my own hair until I went to college, Amber. Like that was the first
Oh
time I'm in
wow.
college and I'm right. I'm
So you
like
never
trying
watched
to
it?
no. When I tell you we went
Wow.
to the hair salon, we went to the hair salon.
Wow.
So I never knew I never knew how to wash it, and I always just went, and I didn't really ever have to do anything with it, right? Like I never put product in it. I never really, it kind of just did what it did. And so going to
Yeah.
college and then meeting my friends and then people like putting relaxers on each other's hair. And I was like, okay, y'all doing a bit too much to me because I'm a salon girl. So I don't know what y'all doing. But I did learn like a little bit. Because even with my mother today as an adult, I don't think that lady does her own. I don't think she does her own hair. And now she makes me do it. I'm her hairstylist now. Um, when I was younger, my mother, because she's a very respectable Black woman, Amber, like, I couldn't get a crimp. I couldn't get a finger wave. I couldn't get a French roll.
You didn't ever get no
It,
French roll?
I couldn't get braids. I never had any of the milestone hairdos I think people of my age had. I never had any of them. She was like, no, you can't have none of that. Did you have that? It's looking like you had that.
No. No. But my mother's baby, my mother didn't like to do my hair either, but my mother has a sister 12 years younger than her. So I grew up with a teenage aunt in beauty school. So my mama took me to my grandmother's house every weekend.
Okay.
And my auntie was like the hood hairstylist, so
You had
I
everything.
was around all of that.
Yeah. So my
But I didn't have no hair. So yeah.
oh, true. So yeah, my whole life is just always been this very boring thing because I just grew, and then once you get to a point in your life, it's like you're not even really interested, right? Like I know this thing that works and I'm gonna keep doing that, and you know. So a lot of people talk about like, and we will, the politics of hair and sort of what it all means. But my story is very different because I wasn't like traumatized by a bunch of chemical burns. My hair didn't fall out. Like
Mhm.
I didn't have a lot of trauma in terms of my hair story.
Yeah.
But girl, in my late 20s, I used to be in brand management and I started working at Proline. I don't know if you know this, Amber. I used to work at Proline.
Yeah, I didn't know
Yes,
that.
child.
What?
So Erika used to work at Proline. I was a brand manager for TCB. Okay. And
Did you have one of them Bronner Brothers carrying
you know what?
bags to come to the beauty shop and sell the products?
No, I did marketing. No, I did not do that.
Oh,
So,
excuse me,
girl,
y'all.
and so Proline, for anybody who doesn't know, has brands like Soft and Beautiful and Just for Me. Those were the main Proline brands. Um, but like I said, that was when I started getting exposed to the billion-dollar industry of hair. And the interesting thing for me when I worked at Proline is that this was the point where by the like 2005, 6-ish, around that time, most of the larger black hair care brands had already been taken over by white companies. So they weren't in black hands
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And Proline also at that point was
Mm-hmm.
owned by Alberto Culver. So it was interesting to see how you had these industries that used to be owned by black people, revered in the black community, and now they were not. Now you have these white people in meetings and you're trying to explain to them why Easter is such a big deal, a hair occasion in the black community. Like, we just don't understand. Every Easter sales go up so much. We just don't understand what is going on. So it's weird to be
Wow.
exposed to sort of the hair industry from that inside and feeling like also sort of just the sadness of I got to explain this to y'all, and these things used to be owned by us and they aren't anymore, and then what that means, and then also knowing that now everything in the hair industry was about money. So that was when sort of the natural hair wave was really coming in, and so olive oil
Mm-hmm.
and everything was a thing, right? Trying to make sure that they could jump onto the natural hair care wave.
Yeah.
And so it was just all about it was just all about money and all about profit. It wasn't about a lot of times, to me at least, I think people think about the natural hair industry coming in and it was like, there was the revolution. And I think it was less about that from what I saw on the inside. But personally, this was also the time, Amber, I got pregnant for the first time. And the first time that I got pregnant, I had a miscarriage. And after that, I started examining everything in my life. Like, what can I do? What can I not
Yeah.
eat? What can I start to do? What can I stop doing? Who do I need to put out of my life? Just everything was up because for me, that was a super traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
And my hair was one of those things. So there is no science at all to say that relaxers cause miscarriage. But just in my mind, I was like, I got to stop getting a relaxer.
Yes.
So, girl,
Yeah.
in April of
Yeah.
2008, so however many years that ago that was, Erika hadn't had a relaxer since then. So I just went to my hairstylist and I was like, look, I don't want to get relaxers anymore. I'm done. Again, no science at all. I'm just like trying to piece stuff together. And so I stopped getting relaxers. And it wasn't because I still was doing the same boring thing with my hair, right? Like there wasn't anything new that I was doing. So I stopped getting relaxers and she just started straightening with the flat iron. And then that became the thing that I was doing. And so,
So you didn't have a transition story? Like, you know how some women
no,
have that in between.
no.
You didn't have no in between
No,
drama?
she just
Wow.
stopped relaxing and it started straightening. It was the same thing. And that's the part about my hair to me that's interesting is because the politics around my hair is that I'm lazy. Like my hair politics is I go to the salon, I get it done. These curls, I can't comb them out. They just stay here. I don't sleep with no bonnet on. I don't curl my hair. I don't halfway comb my hair. I don't put nothing in my hair. It just does what it does. And I'm not trying to, you know, maintain the white beauty aesthetic. I'm just trying not to do nothing to it. So that's what you see. What you
Mm-hmm.
see is Erica's hair politics is she lazy as hell. So
That's so interesting.
I do have these conversations with my friends who are natural, because they're like, well, you're not really natural because your hair is straight. And I'm like, well, my hair not natural because I got color in it. Like my hair not natural for a lot of reasons. But I do sometimes think there's like the oppression Olympics around whose hair is truly natural and whose is not.
For sure. Yeah, I get kicked out the natural club because I wear wigs. So I'm like, I ain't, you know.
But here's the thing.
Ain't nothing on my hair but some juices and berries.
Why do you have to I feel like sometimes I almost feel like I have to explain like, "Oh, but I don't have a relaxer." And I'm like, "Do you feel like you have to explain, well, the reason I do this is because." And why is that even a thing?
Yeah. I think that is very true. Like, I'm just getting to the place where I recognize it. But honestly, I think for me, my story, it's kind of a perfect juxtaposition that you went first, because I felt like I was always being compared to the people like you who were labeled in my family as having good hair, a good grade of hair, right? Like the people who you don't have to put no effort in, you just kind of have very manageable hair. And it's not because of anything that is right or wrong. It just is, right? That's just how the hair comes out of your head. But for me, I know my mother used to always joke that she married a web, but her daughter was the only daughter that didn't have good hair, which is true.
What you
Yes,
mean which
which
is
was
true,
which was
Amber?
true.
You
But
ain't in here
because
talking about
my
it's good
I
hair too.
Well, no, no, no. Let me rephrase that. I mean good in the sense that there was a sickness impacting my hair. And I think it started happening very early on, even before the sixth
You
grade when
just
I was
didn't know it.
diagnosed with a thyroid issue. I just didn't know it, right? But my father's mother is a very beautiful woman whose my great grandmother was a Native American indigenous woman, and so my grandmother has
Y'all
these
love
beautiful.
talking about.
I mean, she no, I'm not joking. Like straight off the like straight out of Osage County. Like, okay, um, and my grandmother has beautiful curly hair. My dad's sisters have beautiful curly hair. All my cousins had hair that was similar
You
to
saying
yours.
similar to
So my hair was
mine. Mine, first of all, Erica's hair's not.
sim. Well, I mean, in the sense that it was what was deemed manageable or good hair. It didn't take a lot of effort, but my hair was very thin. It was very brittle. It came out very easy. Um, and I've been wearing hair extensions in one form or another since I was 9. I started in third grade
Really?
when my aunt yes, my aunt used to braid my hair. And she used to put poetic justice braids in my hair. Um, because I even as even around like fourth grade, my hair started thinning at the top. And so my aunt would braid it so I could wear it in ponytails. It cover up the bald spot. But then by the time I got in like seventh or eighth grade, my edges were thin. I had the centrifugal baldness in the top. And I remember, sitting in the hair salon, splitting the tracks because my aunt taught me how to take the razor and split the tracks so that the track would lay thin and blend better with my hair, like when they glued it down. So I've been in and around hair salons my entire life because of my aunt. And I just always was trying to figure out a way to cover up the fact that there was like clearly something wrong. Cause I got a relaxer pretty early too, and my hair came out. And then I went back to pressing it, and my hair came out still. Like it was really nothing we could do that would stop it from coming out. But they kept doing that, like my great grandmother had also owned a hair salon way back in the day. And so she would press my hair sometimes. I remember in the kitchen and talking about trauma, like somebody putting like grease on your hair and then running like a hot comb through it and be like, don't move. And it's like, sis, I mean, like, my great grandmother was old by then. So, like, my ears would look like bacon sometimes, like Sunday morning. And I mean, yes, it was so I do have hair trauma. I do. And I knew very early on that my hair was not good hair. I knew very early on that I didn't have the kind of hair
Your
that
hair
my
was not
mother
good hair
wanted me to
according to
have.
the standards that people set up for hair.
Yes, but to the pathologies that we these are the things we inherit. You hear people talking about it. Like I knew my hair, like when I remember when my aunt used to take me to get my hair braided, they used to always, when they got to the middle of my hair and it was thinning, it was this one girl in the shop, Nene, she could braid it so that you couldn't see as much of the bald spot. Like they always had to call somebody like special,
Hmm.
because she was the girl in the hood that knew how to do, they called it a bridge braid, where she could kind of fix it where you couldn't see as much of the bald spot. So I definitely have always carried hair insecurity as long as I could personally remember, feeling different, othered, knowing my hair wasn't the ideal. Um, my mother was open to letting me get certain styles, but I was limited because I didn't have enough hair. Like, I always wanted to get banana peels in my hair, but I couldn't. I always wanted to wear, the banana curl ponytail at the
No,
top,
ma'am, I don't know what
you
you're talking about at
know.
all.
Okay. Wow. And I could never get I always wanted the vertical French roll, like going all the way, but I could get the one at the top. And then I always had to get some tracks in the back, like with my, a little hang down to cover my little bald spot. So yes, I have hair trauma. Okay. And even now I still have hair trauma. I mean, the only difference is I have more money. So I'm able to, you know, do things to, you know, make myself feel better. Like, I would give my right arm to be able to wear my hair in braids when I go on vacation, but I can't because I don't got enough hair. So I buy braided wigs and I wear them, So I think for me, I have always been very aware that my hair wasn't what my family wanted it to be, that there was something wrong with it.
That
And
they were
it
telling
just
you it
took
was
so
something
long
wrong
for
with
me.
it.
Yes, yes, yes. And it took so long for me to realize that this was really my body's way of communicating that something wasn't right. And it was just continuously ignored over the years. They put me on a dose of thyroid medicine at 12 and left me on that same dose of medicine until I was 33 years old. And I was going to the doctor like, I'm a different, like, I was in sixth grade when y'all put me on this medicine. Like, can you test? My hair is still coming out. My nails are still brittle. I'm still exhausted. And doctor after doctor, you're fine. You're fine. There's nothing wrong with your thyroid. There's nothing wrong with your thyroid. We checked. We checked. Nobody ever mentioned anything to me about having an autoimmune issue or that there could even be other reasons why my hair was coming out. And so I just felt like defective, honestly. I kind of felt like a broken toy.
Well,
And it really bothered me for a long time.
and I think what can happen, Amber, too, is when we grow up feeling like that. So you have a daughter, I have two daughters. Um, I have tried to be thoughtful and careful about how I approach this hair journey with my kids, right? So with my daughters, I haven't chemically straightened their hair, right? I'm like, I don't, there's no point in it. Again, I'm not a person that's anti anything really for your hair, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're having to deal with to know what you need to do with your hair to be able to live your life, right? I don't know that Amber has alopecia. She
Right.
doesn't tell me, and it's none of my business.
Yes.
So, but
Yes.
for my kids, I know them. And so I'm like, there's no point. And, they were so young at the time, right? So actually, Amber, what I did was like, I want the hair experience to be, not that I had a bad one, but I want it to be just memorable for my kids and in a good way. And they probably wouldn't say that it is. But one of the things that happened is I was like, where did my thing go, Amber? No, my thing went away, Amber. Oh, okay. Now you can see it. So,
But I'm the rich friend.
Amber, this is my laundry room. You can't see my washer and dryer. Now stop it. So, what happened was I created a salon, the Brown Beauty Bar, in my laundry room
Yes.
so that when we do our hair, we have all of our stuff. So, we got our wash bowl, we got our little styling chair. Now I have like, my hooded blow dryer. I got all my little supplies and stuff. And then they go in there and do their nails, or sometimes I'll do their nails. And so I was trying to create a different space so that it wouldn't be traumatic, because with my kids, honestly, I have to spend a lot of time doing their hair. So I've had to learn a lot because, like I said, I never knew how to do hair. So I'm having to learn how to wash hair, how to twist the hair, how to do the twist outs, and all the kind of things. So
Yes.
I've taught myself all of this stuff. And then, like I said, now I'm a mom's hairstylist. I have a couple friends and they'll come over and I'll do their hair too. But now it's more of a place where we come, we might watch shows, we kiki, we gossip, we do all the things that you do in the hair salon. So with my kids, they still complain that I burn them. If I'm doing, like, sometimes I will blow them out and they'll be like, "Oh, mama burned
Yes.
me." Okay. So you a black girl, you need that. Okay? You need somebody to burn you.
I hope you got your Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation sign up
Look,
showing that you a legitimate shop.
don't come over here and find out. But yeah.
Benjamin, go. I'll be out.
So I am trying to create this new thing, but it's a journey for me learning how to care for this natural hair. And the thing that I hate about caring for natural hair is that so many people tell you so many wrong things to do with it. And that goes back to the money part, right? So if we go back to the brokish connection here in the natural care industry, there is so much bad information on YouTube, so many useless products, so many people trying to get you to turn your hair type, your curl pattern into somebody else's, and it's not magic. Your hair is your hair. With my two children, their hair texture is completely different, and I style one way and the other another way. There's nothing wrong with them, it's just different. So one of the things I have learned for all y'all out there
Yes.
is there's a lady that I follow, Jennifer Rose New York, I think is her name. But she talks about how y'all spending too much money on hair care products that are worthless. And she was right. So when I do my kids now hair, Amber, I'm down to 3 products. I use shampoo and conditioner, and I use a twisting gel for one, and shampoo and conditioner, and a wrap foam for the other. And unless I'm straightening and need some protection spray or something, that's it.
Wow.
So natural hair care people got y'all out here spending y'all's money for nothing.
Yeah. And I will say my daughter is 9 and she has hair trauma already. And of a lot of things in the
Oh,
world, I lament that is probably top 3. My baby, her anxiety, like she literally has anxiety attacks when it's time to get her hair done. I don't know if you remember a few months ago when you invited us to Ozzy's birthday party, and I had texted you and I was like, Kelsey's not coming. It's just going to be me and Ben. I mean, she had a full meltdown. I was trying to take her braids out and just brush her hair up into a quick ponytail. I was like, we're going to go to this birthday party and we'll do, like, she had a whole meltdown. And I don't know if you remember, like, when we got there, it was half braided and half in a ponytail because I could only get half the braids out. And I was just like, I can't do this. Like, we don't, like, it's just too much. And so I've actually, what is it, April 8th or April 9th? I found a wonderful stylist, but I have made the decision to chemically straighten Kelsey's hair because it's just too much for her. And I don't want her being in pain, being afraid, like literally, like she gets stomach pain when it's time to wash her hair. She was like going in and out the bathroom. She's nervous, she's shaking, and I feel so bad because I don't want her to have that same feeling about her hair that I had. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to straighten my child's hair. And I have tried to avoid it all these years, but it ain't working. It ain't working. And we finna do something different. Because I don't want my baby feeling like this every time it's time to get her hair done. Mm-mm.
and she shouldn't. And I feel like there is so much judgment around hair that shouldn't be there. And what y'all decide to do, again, to things being easier or more manageable, you're not trying to get her to be a white child,
No,
right? You're not trying to get her to be Aunt Anna and Elsa. We're not trying to do this, right? You just want the baby to be able to move around without throwing up because she's so sick over having to do her hair. But there's so much judgment and so many people who would ask you, well, why are you doing that? Are you sure? Is that right for her? She's so young. And my only request for everybody is mind your business.
yes,
Mind your business
yes,
as it relates to hair.
yes. And one of the reasons why this is such a nuanced conversation is because It's just hair to some people, and it's hair to other people. And it's really difficult when you have a hair journey to sit in spaces where people trivialize that, because for so many of us, it is a source of pain that runs deep, and it feels particularly embarrassing. Every emotion is amplified when it comes to Black men. I will tell you, I've never told this story before. Before,
Uh-oh.
I used to go to a different hairstylist who did my hair in her house. And
Mm-hmm.
she was real cool. Like, she was a very nice lady. She and her husband actually ran
Mm-hmm.
the salon together. But like most Black people, they had family members coming in and out, living with them
In and
at
out.
periods of time. And at one point in time, her brother was living with them. And I was over there one day getting my hair done. And her brother had a friend over at their house. And so I had to go to the front of the house to use the half bathroom for guests. And I could hear them upstairs like cracking jokes on because obviously, when I was there, she would take the sewing down, and they was like cracking on my hair. And y'all,
Mm-hmm.
it was nobody around. And I know for a fact they didn't know I heard them. Like, that was supposed to be between them. But I was so hurt. My feelings
Yeah.
were so hurt. And I was so humiliated. I wanted to like run and hide. And I know intellectually they did not mean me any harm. And I honestly believe in my heart that I would have still been hurt if it had been Black women, but because it was like men, it just, it hurt. It hurt my feelings. And I was just like, ugh, I just want to hurry up and get out of here. And I just remember having that.
What was it? I'm sorry,
No,
Amber.
no, no. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, what was it like for you dating, knowing you had sort of this thing you at some point would disclose? Like, how did that go for you?
It's interesting because it got easier as I got more comfortable in my own skin. But to be honest, I dated a lot of people that I didn't tell. I dated a couple people seriously I didn't tell. Um, and the people that I have shared it with, it's been scary a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, because the first instinct, men can be so damn insensitive. You bald headed for real? Like bald headed like Michael Jordan, or like bald headed like Halle Berry, And it's like, I mean, are we really parsing baldness? Like, if I had a pixie cut like Halle Berry, I wouldn't be telling you this. Um, so some, like, some people have been very gracious, very understanding, and some people have been on that Chris Rock spectrum where it's it's difficult for them, because I think for some guys it catches them off guard. Like,
Yeah.
you're like bald, and then comes all the questions. Well, do you take it off at night? Um, like, so what do you do? And it's like, this is very romantic. I tell buzz kill. So yes, yes.
So the other thing in terms of the hair, right? So we've got our personal stories, we've got all these things that we sort of impart with our kids. We have how hair affects us in these interpersonal relationships. But there's also how hair affects us at work, or how we have to have our hair at work. So that's another thing that I hear in terms of people talking about natural hair, of course, is people who are maybe, maybe they have locks, or maybe they have twist outs or afros or whatever they might have, how they are treated at work. And again, here at Brokish, as we talk about the money part of this thing that's broken, is there are many times when people can judge you for your hair and then not want to pay you, right? Or you don't look as smart or as professional or as accomplished as somebody else. And so, Amber, what thoughts do you have about your hair at work, especially? And I'm no fan of I'm no fan of the Supreme Court or being on it. But Katanji showing up in her locks and how our hair, what that means for us and for the discourse.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting because both sides of the hair coin, like we did an episode on critical race theory last season, and one of the things we talked about was the underlying assumption in the civil rights movement was that if we were respectable and if we integrated, that things would inherently change. Like the only way there could be inequality is because of the separateness, right?
So
And
you had to have Shirley Chisholm curls like me.
yes, yes. So you had people like I am 37 whole years old, and my grandmother is 89, and I have never seen my grandmother in a pair of jeans. I have never seen my grandmother in casual clothes. She is the wife of a Baptist preacher. She's widowed now. My grandmother
Yes,
cannot
ma'am.
drive. She don't go nowhere. She wake up and put on suit pants and a shell and her house slippers every day. And I'd be like, Mama, where you going in this shell and these suit pants? I have never seen my
Right
grandmother in
here.
jeans. I've never seen her in shorts ever. And so this respectability stuff on the inside kind of translates on the outside. You know what I mean? And so I
Yeah.
think for a lot of us, we carry this burden to go there and show that we belong. Um, and I think
By fitting in.
yes, by fitting in and assimilating. I joke with for the first 6 years I practiced law, I wore the same blush shade of pink on my fingernails because I never wanted to have to use my finger on the Elmo in the court and like for the judge or the jury to think my nails are ghetto. I clearly don't care now, but I do think there is this awesome burden, especially when we hear the stories about the children who are being denied the ability to partake in their graduations because their locks are too long, or they violate school code because it's unkept, or you hear about Black people who get jobs and then they're asked to cut their locks or straighten their hair, right? I know one time I was talking to another attorney and we were speaking about a particular judge in Collin County. I'll call that out. And she said that the judge asked her, she has a very short fro, very short. The judge asked her if her hair smelled. She was like, yes, the judge asked an attorney in a proceeding, like they were having small talk before, and she was just kind of curious about it and said that the judge was asking her, like, how does she comb it? How does she keep it? And then the judge said, does it smell? Does it smell?
Does
Yes.
your smell?
Okay. Okay. But it's just it's this burden to live up to these false ideals of what it means to be professional, of what it means to be perceived as competent. You know what I mean? And we never
Mhm.
question the standards. Like we never question that standards about how hair should look presume your hair grows out of your head a certain way, right? Everybody's hair don't grow out of their head in a way that makes it easy to wear it straight. Or like I know women who've been in the military who've been told that they can't wear their natural hair. They have to wear it back in tight ponytails. Well, if you have long 4C coily hair, what does that have to do with you serving your
Ponytails
country? Yeah,
are harder.
yeah, that is really difficult. And so these standards that we call objective are very much geared towards a particular demographic. And it is very sad that it is only taken us in the last 2 or 3 years to say perhaps we should have legislation that makes it illegal to look at somebody and say that they can't have a job because of how the hair grows out of their head. I mean, that's ridiculous.
So talk to us about the Crown Act. What it stands for, because I'm thinking that crown is just crown on your hair is the crown on your head, but it actually stands for something. So
Oh, no, 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 no. So the Crown Act stands for, oh, let me remember. Okay. Oh, yes. Creating a respectful environment for our natural hair. Okay. So CROWN. I'm sorry, creating a respectful, open world for natural hair. And so there are currently 13 states that are considering legislation. It's just passed in the United States House, but y'all know how the Senate is. Okay. So, um, and basically, what it does is it extends some of the Title VII protection that the U.S.
You know,
1982.
everybody not lawyers. You're gonna talk
That's
about
what
title. You're gonna tell
I'm
us.
about to
Okay.
explain it. Currently in the law right now, you can't discriminate on somebody because of a protected class, their gender, their race, their religion, their ethnicity, disability status, like certain things like that. Um, and basically, the Crown Act aims to include hair discrimination under that Title VII umbrella because, for all intents and purposes, it is a form of racial discrimination because the people who are disparately impacted by it are people who are already in protected classes. And so when this issue first arose, the 11th Circuit said there was not a thing in the world wrong with denying somebody a job because of how the hair grew out of their head, because that is not a protected class, even though the petitioner in that case argued, well, by definition, the standards that they're upholding is is a Eurocentric standard that is biased towards people whose hair don't grow in that way. And at that time, back in 2016, the Supreme Court declined to hear the case. And they said that basically they was going to let that stand. And that prompted a lot of Black women to get out and start doing the work of trying to pass Crown Acts on the state level. I know Dr. Stephanie Boyce has been very active here in the state of Texas with Tashara Parker and other people in trying to get the Crown Act passed in Texas. But, mm. But anyways, yes, it has passed in the U.S. House. So hopefully the Senate will take that up because um, you would be surprised now that I'm on the other side and you have the opportunity to interview people, the things that people deem as unprofessional, right? The ways that appearance is used as an indicator in some people's minds about competence and about people's professionalism without any consideration for other factors at play. Like I tell people all the time, we're interviewing law students. They ain't got no money. So the fact that you think these kids supposed to come in here in, top-notch suits or, looking like they
Because
have the
they
jobs.
expect them to be
Re-
the people who are associated with the people who are already there, and they should have
yes,
money. Amber, that's the
yes,
problem.
yes. And it's like, that's crazy to me. I had one suit when I was interviewing through law school. One. And I wore that dang on suit down to the ground. And that's all I had. That's it. I didn't have no money to buy no different suits for different days of the week. Child, please. I had one suit. One.
Well, Amber, look, here's the thing though. We just finished talking about how, the Crown Act and how hair in some ways can be a form of resistance. And then look at the both of us, Amber. Like, you know, people might be listening to or watching the show like, um, y'all not a part of the resistance, right? Like y'all not interested in the resistance. Where's y'all's natural hair? Where, Amber, you can get braided weaves. I mean, braided wigs. Why don't you have them, right? Like,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just really quite simple. I am no longer interested in allowing people to police my blackness. And so whatever wig I decide to pull out this box is whatever wig y'all gonna get. Point blank and period. And I think
do you hate yourself, Amber?
no, no, and I think it's very sad that we have weaponized natural hair and turned it into another paper
Against
bag.
each other.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
think that is really sad because
Weaponized natural hair like another paper bag. Is that what you just said, Amber?
yes, yes. And we have, because here's the thing. All of us, all of us know for a fact that if we don't have it, we know people who have hair trauma. So even if you still are getting a relaxer and you're talking to somebody who's not, like you said, you don't know people's issues. You don't know their stories. You don't know why. My cousin does hair, and I was talking to her about my daughter, and my cousin was saying to me that she has grown women who still like cry when they get their hair done. Because I was telling her about my daughter, she was like, I still have women who sit in the chair and they shake. So if there's a woman who's getting a relaxer because that just is painful for her, listen, sis, do you, do you, do you, do you?
The funny thing for me sometimes is that a lot of times it's the men who are, it's weird. There are a lot of men who are very judgmental in terms of, I don't want nothing to do with the natural hair girls because they do hate themselves and are trying to follow or want a woman who is chasing behind Eurocentric standards of beauty. Okay.
Oh, I only meet the other
But
ones. I don't want no woman with all the weave in her head. I'm like, all right, well, it was nice to meet you, Henry.
yes, but then there are also the men like that, right? Like, so you have men on both sides. You're like, I don't like a woman. I don't want a woman with natural hair. But then why y'all hair so straight when you must hate yourself? And I'm like, y'all don't even have to deal with hair. And the thing about men for me that's very interesting is they can go to the barbershop every week or two to get their hair cut. And to me, like cutting your hair, ain't that a Eurocentric standard? Like if you going to do that, but nobody says anything about that, right? Like you go
No,
get your hair cut and you don't hate yourself, you just getting a haircut.
no,
But somebody does decide that they want to get a relaxer because of whatever reason or because they want to straighten their hair like I do. And all of a sudden it's like, are you really who you say you are?
yeah. And I will also say, my husband and I, we got into it about this whole Oscar thing. So this Oscar thing has caused a little bit of consternation in my house because
Girl, mine too.
he said that he felt like the joke was funny, and I did not appreciate that. And one of the things that it brought up for me, and I was telling him, one of the reasons why Lil Kim is 10 feet high in the book for me. Lil Kim is the goddess for me. You cannot talk about Lil Kim around me because I appreciate so much. Like I remember she was on the Breakfast Club maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and they were asking her about the cosmetic
You don't watch the
procedures.
Breakfast Club still, do you?
Nah, sis, I've
Okay.
been delivered.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, thank you.
I've been delivered. But they were asking her about the cosmetic procedures and the changes she's made to her body over the years. And she looked them straight in the face and said, I don't do this because of what white people say about me or anything. She said, I started changing my body because of the things that black men were saying about me.
Puffy?
The the
Puffy?
the ways that they were talking about me, making me feel bad about myself. Like I just hated myself. I hated how I looked. And I was like, it takes so much courage to just keep it a buck like that, to not lie and be like, yo, I wanted these men to want me. I wanted these men to think I was beautiful. And I started going down this road because I was chasing that from them. And I was telling my husband that, like, black men can be very dismissive of pain that they don't understand. And it's very easy for them to just trivialize this. Like, my husband's like, I love black women, I protect black women, but the joke is still funny. I'm like, really? I'm
You
like, so
can't do both.
this is why I got on you the other day when you was all of a sudden so concerned about black women losing in the Olympics to a trans swimmer. Like, who you are anywhere is who you are everywhere. You can't talk about you care about black women and all of this stuff and then be comfortable with a black man making a joke and profiting in any way, whether it's laughter, money, whatever, off of a black woman's pain and off of her discomfort. You cannot do that. And the fact that they don't realize that those types of wounds live very deeply inside of a woman is something that, quite frankly, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, this is the part of the Oscars that I'm glad you mentioned it because I didn't bring it up. The part that kind of drove me mad in the background is that Puffy was the one kind of trying to be the peacemaker, right? Like, here I come and I want peace. And yeah, Puffy could have grown because the stuff that went down with Kim was decades ago. But he was one of the main people trying to tell Kim what she needed to do with her body, right? What she needed to do with her looks, with her hair. And now all of a sudden, you don't understand why Will might be wanting to protect his wife because of what she's going through. And I'm like, if you don't sit your monkey tail down.
That part. That part. And y'all, can we just clear the air real fast? Because this just needs to be said because I want to free some of our brothers today. If I hear one more man open his mouth saying, how come Will gonna hit Chris Rock about talking about his wife's hair, but he ain't go beat August Alsina ass when August Alsina was messing with his wife?
Because his
Tough,
wife wasn't disappointed with August.
but not only that, that's a whole different conversation, and it is just an indicator that so many of our brothers do not understand consent. Because beating August Alsina but was about that would have been about Will's ego. Okay, that would have been about ego. Because comparing Jada having a consensual relationship, inside, outside, overside, underside, entangled in, untangled from her marriage, is completely different than somebody involuntarily using your health history to make you the butt of a joke in front of millions of people. And the fact that a lot of y'all don't understand that, y'all need to go get y'all a dictionary and look up consent. So Jada choosing to have a consensual, voluntary relationship with somebody should not elicit the same response from Will that him seeing his wife being involuntarily humiliated in front of the world should. I'm not saying he can't be mad at her for having an affair, but his beef with the affair is with Jada because Jada is his wife. Jada is who he's in a
But
relationship with.
Amber, it's not even about consent. If it's really about protection. If Jada is messing with August, she not looking for Will's protection. Okay, she
Okay,
don't need it. She
okay,
didn't ask for it.
okay, okay.
Okay. In this situation, Jada was in need of some protection and Will did that. Okay, know
Yes,
your place.
yes. And y'all, please stop bringing that up. Like, that's not even apples and oranges. That's apples and dog food. So I just want y'all to please stop, stop,
Mm-mm.
stop, stop it.
Jada needed some help. She might have been, we didn't see, maybe she gave him an elbow, we didn't see you. She didn't do that with August.
Okay,
It's
okay.
different.
She got tangled up in that entanglement on purpose.
Yes.
Okay. Now just stop that. Stop that. Now my grandma say, let that alone.
Indeed. Indeed. So I don't know, Amber. I feel like we've sort of been all over the place. But the thing about it for me is I feel like that's because your hair, whether we like it or not, affects so many different areas of our lives. It does affect your perception at work. It does affect the romantic partnerships that you might get into. It does affect your children if you have them. All of these different things are affected by the hair in your head, whether or not we want to recognize that. And of course, it's true more for women, but certainly it's also kind of true for men. Like a lot of y'all hanging on to this struggle hair that y'all need to go on and let it go.
And
And
y'all act like we
you
don't know
can't
y'all
do
buying them lace front wigs for your beard off
it.
Amazon.
Using that spray and everything else. But here's the difference though, I think, and of course I'm generalizing, so y'all hate me for it or whatever. But women tend to just be more forgiving about that stuff, right? We know you got the spray, but we gonna overlook it. And it's we know you have it. It's fine. But a man wanna not talk to you because of it. And you like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
think Melania don't know?
That comb over, baby. That comb over.
You think Melania don't know?
Ooh. Mm, mm,
Come on, y'all.
mm.
But yeah, I just in thinking about this show, I'm like, the time and effort you put into your hair, the money that you spend on caring for it. And that's the other thing. Let me bring that up. If I decide I want to spend my money at the hair salon, and if Amber decides she want to ship in the finest from, where you getting from, Thailand?
Cambodia, sis.
Cambodia. If she wants to ship in the finest from Cambodia and use her money for that, you shouldn't have nothing to say about it. Okay? It's not your business.
Yes. That's,
And if we could just stop policing each other's pockets and our behaviors, like the way that we fix our aesthetics, we would be so much better.
yeah, we
Like,
can put
let's
all
just
of that
stop.
energy towards tearing down the systems that planted those seeds in our head in the first place. Okay? That's what we need to do. Tear down those
How about we
systems.
work on our politics?
Mhm. Mhm.
Work on our politics. Let's do that, and not worry about what's on people's heads. So, Amber, thank you for sharing with us today. Do you have some homework for the brokers?
I do. So, it's interesting because last night sent me kind of down a rabbit trail that was very enjoyable. I found some
Mm-hmm.
amazing documentaries, and the homework this week is very simple. I'm gonna I'm gonna post three of them, and one of them is "Good Hair" by Chris Rock. I feel like I want to kick him out the Hair Care Commentary Club because all the work he did on Good Hair went out the window. It's like, boy, if anybody know women got trauma about their hair, black women, you know. But
It ought to
anyway,
be.
the documentary is still worthwhile. But there's three. One is called Our Heritage, a natural hair journey. And the other one is called This is Good Hair Too. And then the third one is Good Hair by Chris Rock. And so the homework is simple. You can watch all of them, some of them, or one of them. The first two are both less than 30 minutes. Of course, Chris Rock's documentary is a full length movie, it's about an hour and 42 minutes. But the other two are really good, short, poignant documentaries about Black hair created by Black women. And so we just want you guys to watch and then comment in the comments on our social media page what your thoughts were on the documentaries. If you want to share your own hair testimonies with us, because obviously this is a conversation that is a very deeply emotional place for all of us on some level or another, and it's important for us to talk about it and sort through it because it's not going to go away unless we do the work to dig out the pathologies that brought us to this place. So we're going to link the YouTube videos, and the first two you can watch on YouTube. And for those of y'all out here that got Netflix, share your Netflix password for the people that want to watch Good Hair, okay? All right?
Amber,
Before
why are
they
you trying to
raise the
get these
price.
people in trouble? Like,
They ain't gonna get in trouble. They
right,
ain't starting
right.
that till the end of the year. Share y'all's Netflix password if people want to watch
Oh,
Good
I don't
Hair.
care if they do. Well, I do care if the people get in trouble, but I don't care nothing about Netflix. They need to. They shame. They ought to be ashamed for that.
Shame.
That's what I
Shame.
gotta say about that.
Mm-mm.
They done built their whole brand on password sharing, and all of a
Yes.
sudden.
Acting brand new. So anyway, that's the homework.
Well, thank you, Miss Amber. So, brokers, we know that the hair journey is certainly a personal one. And what we'd like everybody to take away is because it's a personal journey, do you. We don't think that there is any virtue in having locks or natural hair, and there shouldn't be any shame in having a lace front. Hair is about you and your life and what suits you. And we want everybody to focus on that. So let's turn our judgment away from how everybody might be wearing their hair and turn our judgment towards breaking down these systems that are seeking to break us down. Thanks for tuning in to Brokish, and we look forward to catching up with you on our next episode.
All right, good people. Thanks for listening to Brokish. For more episodes, visit us at brokish.com or subscribe, and Brokish will get direct deposited into your favorite podcast app on the 1st and 15th. Share Brokish with your friends and join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Music for Brokish is Come Get Some by Blank and Kit. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.